This is hands down my favorite keyboard that I've ever tested. The build, the feel, the sound, everything is dialed in on this keyboard. And there's one thing that sets it apart, and it's the Southpaw layout. What's up, everybody? Corey with Freaky Tech Reviews here, and today we're checking out the Q14 Southpaw layout keyboard by Keychron. I'm really excited to show this keyboard to you because it has become my favorite of all time, so let's get into it. Shout out to Keychron for sending this out for me to check out and review. There are links in the description for you to check out, both affiliate and non-affiliate. That way you don't have to feel forced to financially support the channel if you want to purchase this keyboard, but Keychron has not seen this video, so they have no idea what I'm about to say about it. So it's actually called the Q14 Max, and it is built like an absolute tank. It's CNC machined from 6063 aluminum, and it actually weighs over 4 pounds, and it feels even heavier than that, to be honest, but this thing does not move. And I know some people don't like super heavy keyboards, but it's nice because it does not slide around the desk very easily, and there's no deck flex at all. You feel that solid feedback on every single keystroke. I mean, this thing is here to stay. It also uses a double gasket mount system with foam dampening layers, so you're not getting any hollow pinging or vibration, and it sounds and feels premium right out of the box, no mods required. And that's a huge thing about this keyboard that I love so much, is right out of the box with the Jupiter yellow banana switches that we're going to be talking about here in a second. It just sounds phenomenal. Now, there are two designs that you can choose from. I have the carbon black version that has kind of this stealthy look to it, but it still has a lot of personality pop with the dual tone white keycaps. So it blends into my gaming setup really nice. However, the white keys just pop in the background, and I just really love the way that it looks. And then there's the other option that has more of a traditional, almost Macintosh style feel to it with the tones of the gray, and it still has the green escape key. I really like the way that one looks, but for my setup, the carbon black is the one that I preferred. Now, here's the main thing that sets this keyboard apart from the other ones, and that is the Southpaw layout. And if you don't know what that is, basically when you take a keyboard that has a number pad like this one, usually they're on the right side of the keyboard, but now you move it over to the left side. There's a couple of reasons why you might want to consider this. And while Southpaw typically means left-handed, the reason you might want to consider a keyboard like this is actually if you're a right-handed mouse user, which most of the market is. And so the reason that you might consider a keyboard with this specific layout is because of all the different mouse movements you do back and forth when you're typing and gaming. Now, we'll talk about the gaming aspect for this keyboard in just a little bit because I don't like it for that per se, but it's kind of handy because when you have your mouse right here, let me bring over my Gravistar mouse right here, you'll notice that I'm not having to reach as far when I'm typing, right? Because this number pad is not in the way of the mouse. And I know that that seems like such a small thing to like a product about, but I actually found that I'm moving my hand less overall, and I can get to my keyboard and start typing messages quicker if I'm doing any type of online gaming. And Keychron has a ton of different Southpaw styles, so if you don't like this ergonomic wave like this, you can get something that's going to work a little bit better. And that's something that I am going to knock it on in just a little bit, is the fact that the WASD functions of using it as a gaming keyboard are not the greatest. But from a pure ergonomics perspective, just a little bit less movement between your mouse hand and the keyboard, it actually adds up over time, and it reduces wrist strain or even shoulder problems, which I know sounds crazy, but you know, that stuff actually does happen. Now, you'll also notice that it is a split Alice-style layout with 2 B keys right here. That's one of the things that I really actually like about this keyboard quite a lot, is the fact that some people hit the B key with different fingers depending on how they learned to type. And Keychron did a good job with this keyboard's layout and design, making sure that it will benefit either type of person who types that way. And as far as the rest of the layout goes in this keyboard, as you can see, it does have the ergonomic wave to it, which I do like, because then you're not having to keep your wrists squinched together. You can kind of have them at a more natural resting point whenever you're using them. But like I said a second ago, the WASD function, because they're not situated north, south, east, west like you would typically look for in a keyboard, that does kind of mess with you when you're gaming, and you can get used to it. I just didn't like it initially, and I still don't prefer this keyboard for mouse and keyboard gaming. But a couple other things about the layout here that I want to point out that I'm not a fan of actually is actually the spacebar design right here. You can see the function key right here in the middle between the 2 spacebars. And I like the fact that there are 2 spacebars because some people hit their spacebar with their right thumb, others with their left thumb. I like having the option to because I kind of alternate back and forth as I type. But the function key right here in between them, it makes it hard to find the spacebar without looking at it. I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest. I think there is a little opportunity for you. You see some spacing right here. There's some opportunity to kind of switch these around. And also this like Windows logo key right here, because it is a Mac and Windows based keyboard. So it has functionality for both. But if you're gonna like Alt Tab anything, this is the key that you would use. And it's just not very intuitive from a typing standpoint. But honestly, if you're purchasing this keyboard, you should be able to look at this and know up front, this is gonna be a different experience than any keyboard you've ever worked with in the past. Now let's talk about these Gateron Jupiter banana yellow switches. They're tack tactile, thocky, and easily my favorite part of this entire keyboard. The actuation force is around 59 grams with a 69 gram bottom out, which is enough resistance to feel controlled but still easily type on fast. The amount of travel that these keys have for me specifically is perfect. I don't like too deep of a travel on my keyboards because then it slows down how fast I can type, but I also don't want them to be too shallow. I think this keyboard does a really good job of meeting it in the middle for my tastes personally, but that's really going to depend on everyone's preferences. But because, for instance, not everyone loves the thocky sound like I do. And we'll talk about some of the switch options you can get for this keyboard in just a little bit, but here's a quick sound test so that you can get a good feel of what it sounds like right out of the box with these banana yellow switches. Now, like I said a second ago, you have other switch options that you can purchase as well. On the product page, you can order Jupiter Red, that gives you more of a linear and smooth type of sound, and you can also get Jupiter Brown, which is a bit more of a tactile and a lighter bump, but all switches are hot swappable, so if you want to mix and match later, it's very easy, and Keychron has a ton of different switch options for you to check out and choose from. And one of the things I like that Keychron thought about with this keyboard is the fact that the RGBs are south-facing, and what this means is that there's no glare bouncing off of your keycaps. It's just a nice, clean underglow. So it's really clean RGB on this keyboard, and all the lighting is fully customizable using Keychron's launcher. It's like pretty much any launcher nowadays. It's very easy to assign colors to the keys or effects or whatever you want to do, but I just like the fact that the lighting doesn't get on top of the keys and make it hard to see what keys you're actually looking at. They did a really good job balancing that. Now, if you're the type of person who spends hours tweaking their keyboard layout or flashing firmware updates, security matters, and that's where Proton VPN comes in, today's sponsor. Whether I'm downloading open source tools for VIA, grabbing custom key maps, or just logging in from a cafe on public Wi-Fi, Proton VPN keeps my data encrypted and my IP hidden. No logs, no tracking, and it's built by the same folks behind Proton Mail, so privacy is baked right into its core. If you're already deep in the custom keyboard world, then you're probably using community tools. Don't leave your network wide open while you're downloading these files and doing it. So check the link in the description below to learn more about Proton VPN, where you can get up to 64% off. Now let's talk about comfort and weirdness, because it is a different keyboard overall. Like I said, the function key is in a really weird spot, and it takes some getting used to. I've definitely fat fingered it a couple times while getting used to typing with this keyboard. And while I do love the Southpaw layout, your brain has to like unlearn old habits because you're so used to having a number pad on under your right hand, especially if you use it a lot. So if you're very fast with 10 key typing, it's going to be a little bit different with your left hand. And I actually found that I moved over to it pretty quickly. Like, it really wasn't that bad at all, but it is strange. Like I said a little bit ago, if you're a gamer, that WASD layout with this Alice layout might throw you off at first. The angles kind of shift everything slightly, so it's not that standard flat key feel. I did kind of start to like it a little bit more after I used it, but I do find myself switching it out for like a 75% keyboard for actual gaming sessions and using this for everything else. Now, talking about the price, this is not a cheap keyboard, and I mean that in both terms of how it's built and also the price. Like, it comes in around 250 bucks, but if you're into the world of mechanical keyboards, you know that's actually not that crazy of a price point from a company as reputable as Keychron that has as good a quality materials as this one does. And what I like about the Q14 Max is that it gives you that high-end custom feel, but you don't have to solder, mod, or tinker unless you absolutely want to, and you can buy the base layer of this keyboard without any switches on it and just build it your own way if you just like the Southpaw design and layout. But overall, between the build, the switches, the Southpaw layout, and the RGB macro flexibility, this thing really delivers in ways that I did not expect. So if you want something different and better, in my opinion, than your average mechanical keyboard, I think this might be it. I really like this thing. So real quick before you go, YouTube thinks that you might like this video or this video, so if you want to keep exploring the channel, then be sure to check those out. Have a good one.